Hey, good morning, everyone. It is July 13th already. We are already a week into high summer, and it is Mantra Monday, and we have been doing chapter 10, Opulence of the Absolute. I like to do this chapter because, well, it's one of my favorites, and because it is summer and we get to spend time outside, there's a lot of references to nature, and that is a great way in which we can not feel alone and begin to expand our awareness and appreciation of the Supreme. So the verse that we are doing today is 10:22. Hey, Deanna. Good morning. Nice to see you here. So the verse that we're doing today is 10:22. It's from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, mantra 22 or verse 22. As always, the Sanskrit and the transliteration and the purport by Srila Prabhupada will be posted later here on these lives. I try and give whatever little realization that I have. Okay, so here we go. Vedānāṁ sāma-vedo devānām asmi vāsavaḥ indriyāṇāṁ manaś cāsmi bhūtānām asmi cetanā. I love the poetry of this. It's so wonderful. So, Sanskrit is the language of the demigods. It is the language that is spoken in the upper planetary system. It is rare here now. I think there's maybe 100,000 people left on the planet that can actually speak Sanskrit fluently, but it is a very scholarly language, and it is also considered to be the mother of all languages. So I'm going to repeat this verse again. Vedānāṁ sāma-vedo devānām asmi vāsavaḥ indriyāṇāṁ manaś bhūtānām asmi cetanā. Translation or word for word synonyms: Vedānāṁ, of all the Vedas; sāma-vedo, the Sāma-Veda; asmi, I am; devānām, of all the demigods; asmi, I am; vāsavaḥ, the heavenly king; indriyāṇāṁ, of all the senses; mana, the mind; cha, also; asmi, I am; bhūtānām, of all living entities; asmi, I am; cetanā, the living force. Translation: of the Vedas, I am the Sāma-Veda; of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven; of the senses, I am the mind; and in living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. The purport goes as follows. It's very short and very sweet, and it's good to realize what the focus of this verse is, because of course these texts are bhakti yoga texts, so they are always trying to steer us or set us in the direction of uttama shloka, of the highest. Purport: the difference between matter and spirit is that matter has no consciousness like the living entity. Therefore, this consciousness is supreme and eternal. Consciousness cannot be produced by a combination of matter. So you see here, Srila Prabhupada just kind of cut to the heart of the matter, and once again is always trying to remind us that we are in fact spirit soul, that we are jiva, that we are eternal, and that we are actually not our material bodies. Of course, right now, there is a lot of strife and a lot of tension based on these perceptions or conceptions that is all we are, that is all that we are is a material body, and that is all that we can be defined as, and a lot of judgment and prejudices based around that. So this verse and in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is again trying to point out that we are more than just our body. Our body is a temporary covering. While it's nothing to be ashamed of, you know, who we are and where we come from and our lineage, when you get into, you know, the Mahabharata and you get into the Vedas, and you get into the Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll find that there's also a lot of, you know, ancestry that is brought up, because, you know, where you come from is important. It's not unimportant. But again and again, whenever push comes to shove, and whenever there's a situation where there's misunderstanding or there's some violence that is about to go down, that's usually when a sage will appear and say, hold up, you are misunderstanding, you know, who you are, and you are misunderstanding who or what the person or the living entity is in front of you. Remember who you are. Remember that you are eternal spirit soul, that you are part and parcel of the Supreme Beloved. And, you know, as such, you do not need to behave in this manner, and that you should comport yourself in a way that is dignifies your actual transcendental standing, you know, beyond this temporary situation. Yeah. So that's the context. But what about the other things that were said in this verse? Because it's important to understand that actually the name, fame, paraphernalia, and entourage of the Absolute, of Krishna, of God, many names, of course, are non-different. There is no difference between himself, his expansions, his paraphernalia, his lila, and so on. And here, he again is showing us how he manifests himself, how he is represented in things that we use and things that we see on an everyday basis. So it's said here, he says, the first thing he says is that of all Vedas, I am the sāma-vedo. So what is the sāma-vedo? The sāma-vedo is the book of hymns. It is the book of hymns, if you like, or the book of mantras. And the sāma-vedo was a text, again, was, you know, a group of songs and mantras that the Brahmins, that the priests, that the qualified priests were well versed in, and they would chant these hymns and verses to sanctify the atmosphere during Agnihotra. Agnihotra is a sacrificial fire. Agnihotra, or Agni, is the fire god, and in the fire sacrifice, the fire actually represents the mouth of Lord Vishnu. So anything that is sacrificed into the fire, which in Vedic times would be grains, would be ghee, would be fruits, that would all be considered to be the mouth of Lord Vishnu. So Krishna says, you know, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices. So even though other people may try and get in there, or demigods, like the past time I was explaining a while ago about Lord Indra being upset that Krishna subverted the offerings that would normally go to him, and as such retaliated and tried to flood Vrindavan with it. Of course, Krishna came to the rescue and lifted Govardhan Hill for 7 days on his pinky finger, you know, just to display his mercy. Ultimately, the enjoyer of all sacrifices is the Supreme Lord. So, when you are performing such a sacrifice and going to the expense, of course there would be many guests there, and there would have to be a nice feast, and people would be fed sumptuously, and also many things given in charity. People would be given new cloth. The Brahmins would also be given in charity. They would be given many beautiful cows, and so on and so forth. It was a big affair. He wanted to have the atmosphere sanctified and purified. And so sound vibration is the number one tool in a wisdom culture, in Vedic culture. Mantra, the things that you said, the things that you thought were extremely important. Of course, now in Kali Yuga, in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, we are given some leniency because we are so fallen that the things that we think, it's not that they don't have an effect, but they don't have the same effect as that they would have had in a previous age where you would have an immediate reaction for thinking ill of someone or something or things along those lines. So we've been extended a lot of mercy, and that is why the Maha Mantra is the medicine for this age. It is the Yuga Dharma for this age to counteract the negativity that is everywhere in this polluted environment. So again, the Sāma-vedo is the representative of Krishna. So if you ever have the good fortune of being invited to an Agnihotra sacrifice, for example, a wedding ceremony, and if there are some qualified Brahmins there and they are chanting, different hymns and different praise like that, then you can remember that this is actually a representative of the Supreme Lord. Of course, in this age it is very difficult to find qualified Brahmins because, this course of study is something that, takes a lot of time to do, and it requires a lot of concentration. We have so many distractions now that the recommended mantra to chant is just the Hare Krishna mantra. So the next thing that he says that he says that of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. So what's interesting to note here is that Lord Indra is Arjuna's father, actually. I think I had mentioned this last week or maybe the week before in relationship to Arjuna's mother, Queen Kunti, very elevated. She was, of course, a princess in her younger days before she married, and it was the custom in Vedic culture that saints and sages would visit the ruling class, would visit the Kshatriyas. This was common, and it was the custom that the Kshatriyas would receive them nicely and inquire from them and actually ask their advice on how to run the kingdom in a responsible way, in a spiritual way. That was always the first order of business. And so unlike today, where the politicians don't want to listen to anyone and think that they know everything, or at least try and manipulate everything materially to their so-called advantage, because they are ignorant of the laws of karma and because they are ignorant of what their actual responsibilities are. They are ignorant to the fact that whatever they do and whatever misdeeds they do, they will take on that karma directly. They will suffer that reaction because the heads of state are actually the parents. They are in a position, if you will, of being parents or stewards of society. And because they have been given great facility, they also are very liable as well. So, in the Vedic age, in Vedic times, in Satya Yuga, and Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga, when a saintly person would come, they would actually be welcomed. It would be considered to be a great blessing. And, the so-called royal classes or upper classes would actually personally render what we consider menial service to these saintly persons. And so, as a reciprocation, the saint or the sage, of course, would bless that family, for that mood and for that service and for that kindness, for that humility. So Queen Kunti, again, when she was a young girl, when she was a princess, she pleased this certain sage that had come to spend time at her family's palace, at her family's estate. And at the end of the stay, the sage said, I am so pleased with the wonderful way in which you've served me that I want to give you a boon. I want to reciprocate with you. So I am going to give you this mantra, and when you chant this mantra, you can call any demigod, from heaven to come and visit you. Of course, she's a young girl, so she doesn't quite understand the ramifications of this mantra that she's been given. But essentially, the sage was saying, I'm giving you this mantra, and whoever you call, be it, the sun god, or be it the god of heaven, or so forth, will come to you personally and will sleep with you, and you will be given the boon of having a beautiful son, a very powerful son, a child that is almost like a demigod. In other words, a child that is, sort of half human and half heavenly. So this is how Arjuna was conceived, actually, is that her children, she has 3 boys, were actually the sons of demigods. But the backstory about this, because there's always a backstory, is that her husband, Pandu, was actually unable to have children. And the sage could see that, because sages can see the future. This is something that Kunti, of course, didn't know at the time, because she wasn't married yet. But because the sage could foresee the future, he gave her this benediction so she would not be childless. And the reason why Maharaj Pandu was childless is another story that gets into another thing. So I'm not going to go into that today. But that is the reason why Arjuna's father was actually the king of heaven. And the king of heaven, Indra, possesses a lot of wealth. So one of the names for Arjuna is Dhananjaya, a winner of wealth. So there you go. That's a little backstory. So again, this is this beautiful conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. Krishna is acting as Arjuna's chariot driver on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where this whole conversation is taking place. And Arjuna is taking that position, even though he has a very, very intimate, close relationship with Krishna. He's taking that position of being a disciple, so he can ask all the questions that we would like to ask ourselves. So this is an eternal conversation. It's an eternal transcendental conversation. The Bhagavad Gita, the song of the Lord. Okay, and then Krishna also says here that of senses I am the mind. So that's interesting. So there is another reference to the mind. If you go all the way back to the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, when this question and answer session is beginning, Arjuna says to Krishna, the mind is so difficult to control. It seems to me that it is more difficult to control than the wind. You're telling me that I have to control my mind, but controlling my mind, it's impossible, or it's nearly impossible. And so that's when Krishna says to Arjuna, the mind is the friend or the enemy of the living entity. It depends. It's your choice. So if you train the mind, through proper discipline and through proper practice, when you need it the most, for example, at the time of death, your mind will actually become your friend, and it will deliver to you, what it's been trained to give you. If you have been training it in transcendental science, if you've been training it to act properly. However, if you don't train your mind and you don't take the opportunity, it will become your enemy, and so it will drag you down. So the mind is actually just considered to be a sense organ. That's really all it is. So people who have psychic ability, for example, who have, the ability to perceive things subtly, this is because they have developed, these powers. They are more aware of the facilities or the tool or the ways in which the mind can be used. But of course, on the path of Bhakti Yoga, we're not just interested in that, because we want to use our mind as a tool for liberation, ultimately as a tool, as a way out of the material confines and paradigm that we find ourselves in. So this is really cheerful and really nice that Krishna is saying here, of all the senses, I am the mind. So he is letting us know that he's in our corner, that he is there with us, and that when we endeavor to discipline the mind and control the mind, to work in the favor of our soul, to work in the favor of our intelligence, then we're on good footing here. So just to explain again, it goes like this. The soul is the highest, right? The soul is the thing, is the eternal thing. But we are living in a material body. And so the next door neighbor of the soul is the intelligence, Buddha, right? There's an incarnation of Krishna which is called Buddha. This means intelligence. And who is the neighbor of the intelligence? The mind. So it's the mind, the intelligence, and the soul. So the first thing you want to get a grip on is your mind. That through the intelligence, you train the mind through the intelligence, like doing things like we're doing here today, by being together and actually reciting these mantras and remembering who we are. This is the training of the intelligence and the training of the mind. So it's like you are going about your business, or you're running an errand, for example, and then suddenly you'll remember, oh yeah, I have to get such and such or so and so, or you're trying to solve a problem. And because you have taken the time in the past to actually study, Deanna can appreciate that because she's a tutor and she's trying to help people learn and remember and study. And I'm sure you've got a lot of different little tricks and hacks and techniques to help the students do that, right? So then that's when, the memory comes in, the intelligence kicks in, the mind will deliver that thing that you were needing, that tool that you were looking for. Hey, good morning, Betsy. Nice to have you here. So there you have it. If you go to the second chapter in the Bhagavad Gita as it is, there is that instruction about controlling the mind. But here again in the 10th chapter, nice surprise, turns out that of the senses, Krishna says, I am the mind. So that's wonderful. And then he says, in living entities, I am the living force. Bhūtānām, asmi, cetanā, cetanā. So Chaitanya, Cetana, the living force. Chaitanya actually means the all-attractive living force. So Krishna, simply put, God simply put, he's our dad. We come from somewhere. We don't come from nowhere. So as I was explaining last week, when Mahavishnu lies in the causal ocean and he is in that state of cosmic sleep, he is in that state of yoga nidra, as he exhales, that divine breath, that transcendental breath as he exhales, all the universes are coming out of his pores. So there's that nice illustration that if you search here on that post, where you see all these little universes emanating, and then within each universe, there's another Vishnu, right? There is the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and he is the progenitor. The first living entity is Brahma, and then Brahma is helping to populate the universe, through the flesh, right, through the material body. But before that, before the jiva and the soul actually elects to enter into these material universes and to have an adventure or multiple adventures in these paradigms, we are eternal spirit soul. So we are part and parcel of the Lord. And again, God is our Father. He creates us. And as such, he is giving us life, right? So he is saying here, I am that living force in all the living entities. Of course, the other nice aspect to this is that he also accompanies us on our journey. Wherever we go, whatever we do, whatever circumstances we're in, high, low, great, mediocre, living the life or not living the life, he is always with us regardless of the form in which we take, whether we're an angelic form, a human form, an asuric form, the form of an insect, a bird, a butterfly, what have you not. The Lord is always there in the heart. So I put up some beautiful illustrations last week where you can actually see Paramatma. You can actually see when we get to that state of meditation, that the yogis will sit in meditation just so they can perceive and see the Lord in the heart. But of course, Bhakti Yoga is so easy in that a lot of the austerities that we performed in previous ages of having to sit in meditation, for years and years and years and thousands of years and go to a forest and sit on a mat of kusha grass and do all those things and control our breath and stop our eating and all those different things. We don't have to do that anymore because we've been given the highest benediction in the most fallen of ages. In Kali Yuga, we have been given the highest thing in the easiest manner possible. So that is why it is so wonderful just to be able to sing and chant and dance our way to self-realization. Yay! So that's what's up this Mantra Monday. I'm going to go back and repeat the verse here in Sanskrit, and it is vedānāṁ sāma-vedo devānām asmi vāsavaḥ indriyāṇāṁ manaś cāsmi bhūtānām asmi cetanā. And the translation again is, of the Vedas, I am the sāma-vedo. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. So that was awesome. This is a great way to start off our week. Also, I want to just say that I'm going to be doing another demo in the Yoga on the Dance Floor private Facebook group for you guys, a thing on salt or namak. It's hot. It's July. What is that song by Stevie Wonder? Hotter than July, right? So because it's so hot, it's important to have salt in our system. Of course, everything in moderation. And if you have high blood pressure, you want to be careful about that. However, I just thought it would be cool to show you how salt is used in India. So salt and fruit is something that's very common, especially in South India, where the temperatures climb north of 100 degrees on the regular. And it's important to have that in your system so you don't pass out. But also fruits are so nice and refreshing. So I'm going to be showing you how to make your own chaat masala, which is a spice blend with black salt as the key ingredient to that, and just some ideas of how you can use that on different fruit combinations. So when you're out on your picnic, outside, if you happen to be lucky enough to make it to the beach, or maybe you're going to the park, that you've got something refreshing that can kind of keep your electrolytes up. So that's what we're going to be doing on Wednesday, July 22nd. And I also got a gooseneck, so you actually be able to see what I'm doing with my hands without that kind of funky way that I was doing things before. So, yeah, hi beautiful, you're beautiful too, Betsy. So that's the story. I'm going to be over on Instagram for my Instagram peeps at 9:35. And also, again, if you want one of the new stickers that I have, Where is it? The one that's shiny. I think I put it away in my little box. And you can put it on your bike. Just send me postage, you know. Send me a stamp. Send me 55 cents through my PayPal, and I'd be happy to send you one or two of those. They are way cool. All right, well, I love you, and I will see you soon. I will see you, God, it's already the 16th. I will see you next Wednesday in our Facebook Live group for the cooking demo. I will see you next Monday for another Mantra Monday when we're going to do verse 23. Okay, and then Betsy, all the best for your film and your launch. That's really exciting. And also, we will talk about you doing a yoga class in the group too at some point. Let's see, what does she have to say? I would like to order a couple. Oh yeah, sure, Deanna, no problem. I think you've got, it's paypal.me /Akani Music. Just send me, stamp, send me 55 cents, and I will get that off to you. I do believe I still have your address. Okay. Have a great week, y'all. Bye. Oh, okay, Betsy, no problem. Just send me, postage, and I will get that off to you right away. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope this is wonderful for you. It's certainly wonderful for me to be able to start off the week in this mindset in a positive way with some transcendental oomph and just to rise above all the mundane stuff and craziness that is going on. Okay, thank you. Okay, bye-bye now.